Alright, so this is part 2 of derivatives. In this section, we're going to be focusing on finding the slope of the line tangent to some function at some certain x value, right? So the first thing I want you to do, and I'm going to write it over here, is graph it. Alright, so if we plug this into the calculator and you graph it, it's going to look something like this. Alright, the second thing I want you to do is plug in x equals 3. So if we plug this in, and I'm going to put it right here, we have 2 times 3 squared, which is the same thing as 2 times 9, which is the same thing as 18. So what that means is at x equals 3, we have a y value of 18. So let's do 1, 2, 3. That goes all the way up to 18 right there. Alright? So in this, the reason why I just do this because you're going to use this to actually find out some other information, but here's the thing. We want to find the slope of the line tangent, right? Tangent to this function at this point, right? This point right now is that. The line tangent to that would be something that looks like that. Alright, so this line is tangent to that. I know it's, maybe I can change the color, whatever. So we want to know what this slope is, alright? So the line tangent to it touches that point, only that point right there. And we want to know what the slope of this line is, alright? This is, again, the tangent line. I'm going to point to this right here. That's the tangent line. So we want to know what that is. To find the slope of the tangent line, let's erase this part here so we have room. And you guys can keep writing. You don't have to erase it, or please don't erase it. So number 3, find the equation for the slope of the tangent line. Alright, so how do we do that? What we do is we take our original function, which is f of x equals 2x squared, and then find the derivative. Alright, so this is why I had you guys practice derivatives, because you guys need to know how to find them in order to do these types of questions. And these are the types of questions that they'll ask you, right? So again, to find the equation for the slope, right, the equation that gives us the slope of the tangent line is finding the derivative. So we take this and we find a derivative. So we take this square, we multiply it to the front, so that's 2 times 2, which is 4, x, and then we subtract 1, which is just 1. Alright, so this is the equation. Alright, the equation that we wanted, that is this. So how do we find the slope? All we got to do is plug in 3 now to this equation. So we have 4 times 3 raised to the first power, which is just 3. So we have 4 times 3, which is 12. This right here is the slope. Alright? This is like your m value. You know, in y equals mx plus b, that's the m. Alright? So this is the slope. So in this case right here, this line, this black line right here, has a slope of 12. So it's going up 12 over 1, up 12 over 1. That's that, right? The last thing you need to know is how to find the equation of this line. So here we're trying to find the equation of the tangent line. Alright, so how do we do that? We already have, let's say we have m equals 12. We have our slope, right? We want to point on that slope, and we already know, or point on this line, and we already know that this point 3 comma 18 is on that line. So we have a point 3 comma 18. We're going to use these and put it into y equals mx plus b to find our equation. Alright, so what we have here is 18, right? We put that in for the y, we plug this in for the x, and we plug this in for the m. So we have 12 times 3 plus the b, 18 equals 36 plus b. We're going to subtract 36, subtract 36. This cancels out. We have negative 18 equals b. Alright? So our equation, alright, so the equation for this line right here is actually y equals 12x minus 18. This is the equation that we need. Alright? So a little recap. Finding the slope of the line tangent to f of x equals 2x squared at x equals 3. The first thing you need to do, graph it. Just see what it looks like. Alright? The second thing you need to do is plug in x. Alright? See where x goes. In this case, x went to 18. Alright? So we know that this point was 3 comma 18. The third thing is find the equation that gives you the slope of this tangent line. Alright? So to find that, you need to find the derivative of the original equation, which is 4x. Right? But this is just the equation. We need the actual slope. So they want it at x equals 3. We're going to plug in 3 to get that. This is your slope. Alright? So basically, if we were to just answer this question, this would be the answer. Alright? But to take a step further, if I asked you guys, how do we find this equation of the line, as in y equals mx plus b, we use what we have, we use what we found, and find the equation, right? So we knew that the slope was 12, right? The slope was 12. We knew when we plugged in 3 to the original equation, we get 3 comma 18. So we plugged it into y equals mx plus b, and we got an equation of this. All right. So I know that seems like a lot, but rewatch that or whatever. But I'm going to go over one more question, something kind of similar to what you... Alright, so this is something you guys will be working on in class. But given this function, f of x equals x squared minus 5x plus 3, we're going to answer these equations, alright? Alright, these questions, alright? So the first off, again, I want you to graph it just to see what it looks like, and I'm going to draw a rough graph right here. If you plug this into the calculator, it's going to look something like this. Alright? Very rough draft. But anyways, the very first question is they ask you to basically derive the equation, right? So to derive it, we have x squared, which is going to be 2x, 5x or negative 5x, which is just minus 5, and then derivative of a 0 or a constant is going to be 0, so plus 0. We don't have to write that. That's that, right? So this right here, this equation, is again the equation to find the slope. Alright? The equation to find a slope, that's not the equation that we want. It's just going to give us what the slope is, the m value. Alright? So, they want to know what the gradient of the tangent line at x equals 3. So we have the equation now, right? They want to know at x equals 3, so all we got to do is plug this in to the x. Alright, so I'm going to put b down here. We have f prime of x, the derivative, equals 2x minus 5. We want it at x equals 3, right? So we're going to plug that in. So f 3 equals 2 times 3 minus 5, and that's 6 minus 5, and that's 1. So this right here, this answer, that is your slope. Alright? That's your m value. Alright, so that's our m. The next thing they want us to do, just keep that there, don't worry about it. The next thing they want us to do is just plug in this to the original. So notice right here, let me erase that. Notice that there is no little like dash right here. This is the original. So please take note of that. This is f of 3 of x. Not there isn't a dash right here. So don't put it into the derivative, all right? So we have f of 3, and that equals 3 squared minus 5 times 3 plus 3. All right? So that's the same thing as 9 minus 15 plus 3. So that's negative That's negative 6 plus 3, which is the same thing as negative 3. So what happens is when you plug in 3, right, and I'll just write it up here. When you plug in 3, you get a y value of negative 3. So let's say this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So right about here, that's that point right there, all right? All right, so the last question on this is find the equation, all right? The equation, that's this, mx plus b, all right? The equation of the tangent line to f of x at x equals 3. So again, what does that mean? This is at x equals 3, this point, right? They want to find the tangent line. The tangent line, again, touches this graph at that point only once. I know that was horrible, but basically this is the line that they want. All right, the tangent line again touches the point that they ask you only once. I know mine went over this, but just forget about it. It's only supposed to touch that. Let me see if I can just move it a little bit. So kind of like that. It's supposed to touch it once. They want to know what this line is, right? So we have, let's do D down here. We have the m value, which is 1, right? We found that already. We have a point, which is 3 comma negative 3. All we need to do is find the equation, so we're going to plug this into y equals mx plus b. All right? So negative 3 is your y, m is 1, x is 3 plus the b. So we have negative 3 equals 3 plus b minus 3 minus 3. Negative 6 equals b. So our equation for this equation is y equals 1x, or you don't have to put the 1, but I'm just going to put it just so you guys know, 1x minus 6. This is the equation of the tangent line at x equals 3. Alright, so this is something you guys will be doing. Again, if that was too fast, go back, watch it again, and please take note, write all this stuff down so you have an example with you, just so you guys can do it on the paper, alright? That's about it.